So, welcome. Photography, now more than ever, is accessible to everybody. And now that everyone's living their lives online, it is, become sort of a hobby or a trend to post these nice pictures of yourself, pictures of your surroundings. And it's really been an amazing kind of movement to watch within like maybe the past 10-20 years. I think a lot more people are realizing that you're alone, that not everybody has money to go out, pay for this insane photo shoot, which is perfectly valid, because if all you need is a business profile picture, then it doesn't really seem practical to go out and buy a super expensive camera. But if you are alone and maybe you're trapped inside because of everything that's happening, then these are some of the 5 things that I try to keep in mind as a photography student when I take pictures in the house or outside, but I'm completely by myself. A lot of people have this really interesting misconception that the better the camera, the better the photographer, and that is that's not true. If you go and you buy cameras and stuff that are used, you can actually see that they're from a lot of people who maybe have thought that, that way, that getting a better camera was going to make them a better photographer, and then it didn't. So now they have to sell their cameras maybe at about like half or a quarter price because, it didn't make them better. So first of all, my favorite thing ever when I took this course, or while I'm taking these classes, is that it's not about the camera, period. It is not about having a big, huge DSLR. It's not having a little camera. It's not having an SLR. It's not even having an iPhone. Like if you have maybe like a Samsung or an Android that takes really great pictures, then you are well armed to take as many beautiful pictures as you would like if you just have one decent camera. You don't have to go out and just drop a whole bunch of money on a camera. I'd recommend maybe spending $120, get like a used camera like Canon PowerShot or Nikon something, and then see how you like it before you dedicate yourself to dropping the money it takes to getting one of these big bad boys up here. Once you have your camera, it takes a lot to know how to use it. So just remember to get familiar with your tools, and maybe if you have any camera laying around the house, go ahead and grab that. See what you can do with your phone, and just try to get familiar with the camera and what kind of pictures you'll take. First of all, we have lighting. Lighting is the second most important thing besides the camera. And so there are a bunch of different types of lighting. You can really go in depth with this, what it does to your face, what it does to your silhouette, and you can do some really amazing things with how much light you let inside the lens and things like that, or your shutter speeds and things like that. But if you are just here for the gram and we're just trying to make photography super easy, then this is what I try to think about. First of all, you want to go for natural light. Daylight is a really great form of lighting that if you can help it, use it. It gives you the all over lit look, and you can really easily avoid any type of like shadows or dividends on the face. If you're going to take pictures outside, don't face the sun, because in every picture that you see of yourself, you will be squinting, and that's not really what we're here for. Unless that's the goal, then isn't interested in that look. Your perfect photography weather is partly cloudy, partly cloudy. This means that the clouds are going to diffuse the light for you, so you don't really have to go out of your way to position yourself a certain way against the sun, unless you want your shadow in a certain direction. But other than that, you can just pretty much bounce around and have your eyes blown wide open with the clouds in the way. I also don't recommend just running out and getting studio lighting. Ring lights, what nobody tells you is that photography stuff is incredibly expensive. And so ring lights, studio lights, light bulbs, like all the things, like they all are like $40-50. And if this is something you're doing just as a hobby, then that might not be $40-50 that you feel like investing in just to get some cute pictures for the gram, or that might not be $40-50 that you have. And so if all you have is you, then I would recommend using a really good lamp and an LED light bulb, a white LED light bulb. I literally have like a lamp sitting up there on my desk that I used to take, and I would position it against myself, and that was my photography lighting. And combined with the flash that is already on most cameras, I think I actually used this one, but combine the flash that is on cameras as well as, you know, any outside source you can use to help you, then you can come up with some really amazing lighting. If you believe in Photoshop, then that's something else that I recommend. If you can afford Adobe Lightroom, go ahead and do Adobe Lightroom. Everybody else, there are really amazing, completely free photoshopping apps everywhere. There's some for your computer, there's some for your phone, and then you can fix the lighting in there if you're interested. But I'm the type of person that likes to try to get the picture as close to perfect on the first shot. So I don't really I can edit, I do, but I don't really want to. Maybe I'm lazy. I try to get it as close to perfect as I can on the absolute first shot or while I'm taking the pictures. So I do have 2 gigantic studio lights. I'm very lucky, but if you can help it, use the lighting around your house, use the natural light that comes in from your windows, use lamps, make sure that they have bright white light bulbs. Effective with your phone or your camera in a plain white background. It makes an amazing profile picture. It's easy to edit. Most houses have a white wall in them somewhere, so you can always use that. I don't own a backdrop. It is on my to acquire list, but I do use like the blank slate of my walls if I can help it. Or, you know, I have sheets. I have white sheets and I have a white blanket that I kind of you know, Mod Podge into a studio background until I can give myself a backdrop. Then of course, go outside. Go outside. I think a lot of missed opportunities happen because people fail to recognize that anything can be a background. Backgrounds and foregrounds in anything. Like, it can be on stairs, you can do a brick wall, maybe the different panelings on your house, your backyard, the street. And since we're doing things, you know, alone for us, then that means that you can pretty much do whatever you want. I absolutely recommend experimentation. I think it takes a little bit of trial and error with any tools. It doesn't matter what kind of camera you're using. I think that after a couple tries, you can nail it. You can absolutely nail it. You can get some very amazing pictures with just any kind of background, and you can really get creative, and there's so much freedom in it. And it's honestly why I would like outside backgrounds, because there's a background in literally everything. So posing. Posing is kind of I don't know, I feel like it gets boring for a lot of people because you can do like, your mind is programmed to think of maybe like the same 4 or 5 poses, which is fine if you're doing this for like a business profile. But if you're doing this as like a hobby on Instagram, it's going to get old very quickly. And so what I recommend is pulling inspiration for poses from like fashion magazines and sports magazines and like stuff like that, and see if you can draw something from those within yourself. So that way you get some pretty dynamic poses and you get some pretty amazing things. Focus more on like perspective. So you are allowed to do things like reach towards the camera. It seems pretty taboo, but I mean, you're the photographer, you're allowed to do it. It plays with perspective. You now have this big thing in the foreground. It's honestly really great. I wouldn't recommend trying anything like too crazy, especially if you're just doing this for the first time. It's kind of the whole thing with this, right? Because you are alone, you are doing this for you, and there's nobody there to help you. Not that anybody wouldn't, but you're just happen to be doing this by yourself today. And so with that in mind, I think it's really important to have patience, because more often than not, there are there are a lot of pictures that get taken that do not get used. And it's because, you know, we're going through the trial and error process. If you take a picture of yourself in a pose, I would recommend taking maybe anywhere from like 3 to 5 pictures, so that way you can review each one and see which one is your favorite. And so I would say if I take 20 pictures of myself during a photo shoot, then I only use maybe about 7 of them, and only 5 of them actually get edited. I think it's really important to have patience, because you come out with some really great knockout pictures and some not so great ones, but 'tis such as life. Like, it'll be okay, it'll pass. And the more you do it, the better you get, and you know, the less mistakes that you make, or not. These 5 things alone, they're incredibly simple, so maybe a veteran photographer already knows them, which is great because they're great things to know. But I, like everything in my life, am on a mission to make everything so easy. I need everything boiled down to the simplest point. I hope this inspires you to maybe seek out a white wall in your house, or to go outside and run around and take some pictures, or to look at maybe Vogue magazines and, you know, try to draw inspiration from there. But just to do something like this for yourself is such a raise in self-confidence. So I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope it was super helpful. I hope it was super easy. And I would love to see everybody's pictures on Instagram. I am at shortcake191 or at shortcakeshows on Instagram. I post on Instagram about every day, and then I'm trying to post up here every Friday. So thank you very much for staying through, and just remember that you've got this.